Hello everyone, welcome back to 2 Minute Beauty. I missed y'all. Today's show, as you know, today's show is about fear and what it is to push past fear. And so first of all, I just want to give a really big shout out to you. Tish Tate, is you, girl. It is you for coming through with the topic. I'm really excited, and so this is a huge topic. I mean, I've struggled with this for years. I still struggle with fear probably every day, and so yeah, I'm really excited. So glad you guys are here to join us today. I'm going to introduce our guest speaker for today. I've been staring at that face for more than 12 years. I love that face.
Love too.
It's so sweet. This is Pastor Ryan Perkins. He's my husband. So am I biased today? Maybe a little. No, I'm just joking. I know if you guys have ever heard Ryan speak, then you know. I don't have to tell you, but for those of you who don't know, just God is with him. I mean, that's just period, point blank, bottom line. If you've ever had a conversation with him, if you've ever heard him preach, it is hands down undeniable. And so
I hear you. Go ahead, baby. Do your thing.
And so I'm really excited that he agreed to be on the show, because I was like, babe, please. And he was like, okay. So yeah, so I know that he has some valuable things to say about fear. And I'm really not sure what he cooked up and put together. So I am listening in anticipation just like you. And so I'm ready to jump into it. So are you ready?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Let's do it. All right, so tell us what you think, just at a base level, what you think fear does in the lives of believers.
Okay. Well, can we start with what is fear?
Sure.
Is that possible? All right, cool. So, in my opinion, fear has an inexhaustible definition. Like, you probably could explain fear for years and still not actually exhaust the definition. However, what I think fear is, I think it's going to tie into what it does to the believer. I believe that fear, for me, is a over-heightened sense of your own self.
Okay.
It's a heightened sense of yourself, simply meaning like fear has an ability to show you all of your limitations.
It does.
It shows you what you can't do.
Yes.
It shows you who you are.
Yes.
And it shows you all of those type of things. So I believe that it makes us very aware when we're up against something that we can't be. It makes us very aware when we feel like we're not good enough, that kind of thing. So I believe that for me, fear has always been a heightened sense of my own self-awareness, my own self-limitation, my own things that I'm not able to do in my own strength. So that's what fear has always been for me. It's an over, it's that simple, just self-awareness of, dog, you can't do this. And so then it begins, then I realized that in our lives that is also magnified when we have that sense of limitation, that sense of I can't do this, but then you still have a burning fire inside of you.
Right.
And so then it makes it even crazier. Then fear kind of ramps up even more, because it's like, I wish that my fire would go away because I'm afraid of it.
Right.
And so then it just kind of builds up, and it's all of a sudden now you're like in a catatonic state because you don't want to do anything. You have this fire burning on the inside, but then you're looking at yourself like, I can't do what I feel on the inside because I've become very aware. So I think fear just makes us, it's a very heightened sense of who we are and what we can't do, so on and so forth. And so with that actually being said, I think it's important for us to understand that if fear is a heightened sense of our own self, then it has the power to actually take our eyes from where we should have our eyes on.
Okay.
And what I mean by that is, ultimately, fear is self-consciousness.
Okay.
Faith is Jesus consciousness.
I gotcha.
And so that's just pretty much my basic definition of what I think it is. It's when we learn how to step into, it ain't my limitations. It's not who I am. It's what he's going to do through me. So.
Absolutely. Okay. So then we're born with this sense of self-awareness. Do you agree?
I agree.
That comes from Adam and Eve. So then how do we transition from the sense of self-awareness to God awareness?
Well, I think,
or at least more God than self, at least.
I think we should, instead of always using fear as like a taboo topic, we should actually use it as identifying mark. Simply meaning, when I see my limitations, then we should instantly turn to, this must be a God thing.
Okay.
And so I think you turn it around and you use it as something like, you know what? I can't do this. I can't go there. I can't do any of these type of things. So God, you're going to have to do it through me, because we so many times see our limitations as a reason not to. But if we can turn that same self-awareness into, Lord, I see this must be you.
Right.
And so therefore I turn towards you.
Right.
So use that same fear as okay, Lord, I'm going to be afraid with you. And so therefore you're going to have to do it for me.
Okay. So then we're allowing God to just
to do what we know we want to do, but he's going to do the work. Because what fear cripples us when we think we have to do the call, as opposed to realizing that we just have to allow him to do it through us.
I got you. Okay. So now, when Tish Tate originally asked the question, I want to say that it was phrased something like this: how do you push past the fear? You pretty much touched on it. When you know that God is calling you to do something. And so, not that I'm putting steps to this thing, because I don't want you guys to think that like faith is always has steps. But one of the first things we have to do is recognize that the desire placed in us is by God and not ourselves. So how do you do that?
Well, I think the first thing is you have to accept innately he has to do it.
Okay.
That's the first thing. But then the other thing that I would say that would help you on that step process is, literally, the only thing you have when you're doing something for God is the word that he gave you.
True.
And so therefore you have to hold on. If he told you, I'll give you an example of a scripture. If he told Peter to get out of the boat, until he changes that direction, keep getting out of the boat. Keep walking. Keep moving. We can't be concerned about the external environments and the external things that are around us. All we have many times is just the word from God. It may not look like we want it to look. And so we push past it by accepting that God called me, accepting that he's asked something of me. And all I'm doing is walking towards the come. I'm walking towards the word. He called me out of the boat. He called me into a place. And the only voice that I'm concerned with is what I know God said. Many times fear begins to cripple us because we've heard God's voice, but then we hear the chattering of our own or other people's. There's only one voice to listen to when you have been called, and the voice you listen to is the purpose and the plan that you have inside of you. And I think that's what kind of keeps you going. You keep looking towards that voice. You keep remembering what God said. You keep remembering that dream, that passion, and that continues to fuel no matter what is all around you. So I think it's number one, believing that he's with you and he's going to do it through you. And then number two, keep working towards that call. Keep working towards him coming. I think you push past it that way, because all that really does, I guess if you want to do a 3 on there, is all it really does is focus you.
Okay.
You got to have a level of focus to be able to overcome fear.
Okay.
So you have to know what he said. You have to put your focus on. If he says, I'm going to open up a dance studio, my only focus is the dance studio. And what he said about it. Okay. Not about what I don't have, not about how much money I have. He said open a dance studio, so therefore I'm going to open a dance studio. I don't care about the distractions that might come. I am going to get to dance studio. Because we understand throughout walking the journey and pushing past fear, we're going to have hiccups along the way.
Sure.
And when the hiccups come, we begin to second guess the call. But at the end of the day, when we've accepted dance studio, I'm going to get to the dance studio. And we're not done until we're cutting the ribbon to the dance studio. That should be the single focus.
Okay. Yeah, that's good. While you were talking, I was thinking of, anyone who's been in, all of us little ones who have been in church all of our lives, we've heard the story of David and Goliath. And so I actually was reading that this morning, believe it or not. And I didn't read the full passage, but I just read the part about how much armor Goliath had on, like how heavy it was, and it covered like almost his whole body, and that he had even someone to carry different parts of his armor. And for David just to run up there with he actually didn't run up there with anything. He picked up the stones on his way running. And so I think that's just really good what you said about not necessarily focusing on what we don't have, just saying, oh, okay, well, I have 5 stones. So how is this going to work? Because clearly, this is all I have. And not being concerned with what we don't have. I think that perspective changes.
And I think to the story of David, I thought it was interesting that you brought that up, because I think that David's story shows the importance of faith awareness versus self-awareness. Because for all those days, Goliath walked out and they were like, oh my God, look how big he was.
Right.
Oh my God.
The total focus
was what they couldn't do because of how huge he was. David was like, who is this dude to defy God?
Right.
Hey, the focus is different. When you want to beat fear, you have to beat fear with God. You can't
Good.
overcome your limitations with yourself, because there was nobody in the Israelite army that was any match for Goliath hand on hand.
Right.
But David wasn't looking at him for hand on hand. And so many times in life, when we put our hands back and we invite God's hand in, you can easily push past Goliath. You can push past a lion's den. You can push past whatever. You can be a Moses who doesn't talk, but God says, if you go and sin, I am with him. You can push past all of that when you bring God into it.
Right. That's good. Okay. So I've got a question, because I think we've all been here. In your experience, tell us what happens mentally in that moment. So when we walk up on that, whatever our Goliath is, when we walk up on that impossible situation, it might be a person, it might be, a relationship, it might be something that God is telling us to do, a call, and there's just no way that it could happen. What mentally goes on in those moments? Because I think you said it earlier, we have to kind of quiet those chatters, the chatters that go on in our head, whether it's from people, the enemy, or just us. We just don't think we can do it. So how do you quiet the chatter? What's the back and forth up there?
Sure. I think even though David and even myself, I think the thing, when David got to Goliath, I don't believe there was any chatter. And you're like, okay, that sounds kind of crazy.
That does sound kind of crazy.
There was no chatter. I believe that David walked up in that boy, but I'm about to kill this fool. Like, it wasn't no, like, chatter. But how did he get there? I believe that faith compounds. Okay. And basically what I'm simply saying is, you can easily face your Goliath when you face the lamb or a lion by yourself.
Okay.
What I'm trying to tell you is, if you want to be able to face real fears, defeat smaller ones.
Okay.
And so when you start having success, because maybe for somebody, it's a fear to walk into a grocery store because of the anxiety or whatnot.
Okay.
Walk in the parking lot.
Okay.
Daily begin to, and I think that, because once you begin to trust that God is with you even on the smallest things, when you finally get to something that is really, really big, you'll be like, oh, because David actually says in that scripture, he simply says, I've killed the lion, I've killed the bear, this dude is not going to be any different. And I think it's just that, and I don't know if this is what y'all are looking for, but I think it's just that confidence in, I've done this before.
Right.
And basically what I'm telling you guys is, everybody that's listening to this and that will listen to this, you've all overcome something.
Yeah.
And so the Goliath that you're facing now is no different from that struggle that you had before. And I think that's what you have to, that's how you beat fear, is like, okay, I was scared before and I won. So just because this one's bigger and it's more bronzy and it's more braggadocious and it talks more, it's no different than the thing I just slayed a year ago. Everybody that's listening to this, you've all beat something that you were afraid of. And if you were victorious then, you'll be victorious again. I think that's how you killed the chatter. Like, we sing those songs like Ty Tribbett. If he did it before, he can do it again. And that's really, I believe, how you kill the chatter. Because if you don't, because what we tend to do is, you can't just focus on how big this is now. Because of course, Goliath probably was bigger in stature than the last thing you dealt with. Or what you're facing right now is probably bigger in stature than the last thing. But fear is fear.
Yeah.
Fear has the same root. It's to make you stop advancing.
Yeah.
And just like you killed the last thing, you'll kill that. So I think that's how you quiet it. I think you quiet the chatter by, and I think so many times, and I'm gonna say this and I'm gonna let you go back, but I think so many times we don't spend time realizing how far we've overcome and how many things that we have achieved already. Tish Tate, whoever else. Like, y'all have done some great things already. Things that you were afraid of in the past.
Yeah.
I'll tell you this wholeheartedly. My wife is husband and wife, right? One of the scariest things I had to do was not, I'm being serious. Like, it's like just getting married.
Yeah,
that's a fearful thing. I'm sitting up there. You forsake all others. Forsake all others. What you like? You know what I mean? Like, that's a major thing. Like, wait a minute, do you have to say it like that? You know what I mean? Because we've all faced fears. We've all faced bullies. We've all faced things, and you've come out okay. You faced negative words. You faced hatred. You faced backlash, and you're still standing. That is God's way of encouraging us, that, because one thing is not gonna ever stop. New challenges are never gonna stop popping up.
No.
But if you look back, you'll begin to see, like, I don't have anything to be afraid of. And I think one more biblical reference, I'm sorry, I'm a pastor, that I would share with you was when the people were getting ready to cross over into the promised land, they took out 12 smooth stones and put them on the bank so that people that came after them would be able to know that you don't have to be afraid because God will open up a way. That's something they didn't do in the wilderness when they crossed over the Red Sea. They left no remembrance. Many times, if you spend time thinking about all the things that you've overcome that you once was afraid of, what you're currently facing right now, you'll easily push past.
All right, that's a really good point. I love it. Two things that came up when you were talking. I love it, the faith compounds point, because after he defeated Goliath, he went on to defeat armies, you know? And so it's just like we went from being a shepherd to killing a lion and killing a bear and killing Goliath to just completely
wiping out nations.
Yeah, just wiping out nations. Like it didn't stop. And so that's an awesome point. And then the second thing that I really love that you said, it like when you said the word, it like dinged in my mind, is it really does build confidence. It really does build confidence. Like you can walk up to something and be like, oh, I got this.
And that's good you said that too, because many times we downplay lesser victories.
Yeah, I do.
We downplay that. Like, we'll downplay, I have a show now.
Yeah.
That's major. Like, you face the fear to get on front of the camera.
I did.
And it's one of those things that we tend to downplay. David didn't do says, David, and we understand, a bear and a lion ain't Goliath. But David didn't downplay. I took that joker by the hands and I killed him.
Right.
And so we have to stop. We can't see the present because we keep downplaying the success in the path. And if I may have a preacher moment, when we we downplay our past victories, but we exalt our past failures.
That's
And that makes no sense. And
write that down, y'all.
And that makes no sense to me because we're so many times are crippled by our past mistakes, but we forget our past victories. And that's why fear has such a power on us, because we have no problem remember what I didn't do well, what I failed at before, what I was afraid of before. That cripples us. But for whatever reason, we cannot hold on to all of our successes. And I think we should begin to change that and exalt in our lives what we have achieved in, so that when we get to our next plateau, then it's like, all right, I'm good. David says, I killed the bear and I killed the lion. Goliath, you're done.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was taking a moment because I know I do that. I definitely have no problem remembering all the things I didn't do right, didn't do well, where exactly it went wrong, how exactly it went wrong. And then when I think of doing something new, I'm like, oh, I can't do that because I literally couldn't do the other thing. And so...
And that's just our natural self-awareness. But on the flip side of that, watch this. But guess who doesn't remember all the things that we do bad?
Say it. I know.
God never remembers what you do bad. And so we spend so much time focused and dwelling on, and God says, I cast it away from me.
Right.
When you offer your confession, you're forgiven, and I never remember it again. So my question to y'all today is, why are you remembering your past failures? Because all it's doing, it's killing your ability to believe in something now.
Yeah.
God's forgotten about what you didn't do right. The day y'all were disobedient. The day I didn't talk right. The day I didn't sound right. He doesn't care anymore. Yeah. You repented. You confessed. Why are you still thinking about it? He says, I really wish you would think about the day when I walk with you in the fiery furnace.
Yeah.
Think about the day when you didn't have food and I rained manna from heaven.
Yeah.
Think about the day when you were by yourself in isolation and I brought comfort to you. I brought the word that you needed. That's what he really wants you thinking on, but we just dwell on, because he's not interested in us being a better person. He's interested in us being a better believer. And I think that's what we have to, and it's killing our ability to walk in faith, because we're spending so much time trying to be better rather than be a better believer, a better withholding of his thoughts. So just ultimately, y'all, like there's really no real rhythm or algorithm that you, if you will, equation to beat fear. But at the end of the day, ultimately, y'all, look, like, you can do it, but you can't do it on your own.
Okay.
You can't do it on your own. And I'm gonna tell you, if you ever wanted to know if you were supposed to do something, like, you know that it's a God call or you have to go and do it when all of the fear and all of the signs of why you shouldn't do it are before you, but you still have a burning passion within you to do it.
Yeah.
Because I guess the example I would give to you of that would be, I think I may have mentioned it already, Peter in the boat. They started out in constant fear. Oh my God, the storm, the boat was being filled with water. They were freaking out. And then they got this ghostly like thing walking on the water. They're like, oh my God, it's a ghost. So fear changes too. They went from fearing the storm to fearing what was on the storm. Then all of a sudden, Jesus says, it's all right, be not afraid, be not fearful. And then he said, bump all that. Peter said, oh, while y'all crying and screaming, let me say, if that really is you.
Yeah.
And so he just kind of stepped out. And so we have to be able to be people who still follow the passion in the midst of the storm, in the midst of whatever, and just kind of push past that. And because if you're ever really going to be the person that you were destined to be, you're going to have to be able to daily kick fear's butt every day. And I'm telling you, every single day, on the smallest of levels, overcome what you're afraid of. And maybe that's just simple. Talking to a coworker at work that you've never talked to before. Maybe it's legit. I'll give you one of mine just to let you know what I mean by that. For the longest, y'all, I would walk into my office at work and I would only speak to who I know would speak back. Because I was afraid of what they might, if they wouldn't speak back. I didn't know if they really liked me, never talked before. But at the end of the day, just put so small things. Literally, I went and spoke to everybody. I literally go off and on. I speak to every single person, and it's fine. They just speak back and say, hey, how you doing? We have conversation. It's just those small things. Daily begin to address those smaller fears that you have. Because before you know it, you'll start stacking a staircase. Because I see it this way when it comes to David. All of those victories that he had is a staircase. So though his stature was small, when he got before Goliath, he was standing eye to eye.
That's a good point.
He was.
That's awesome.
We don't see that in the natural.
Right. No.
But y'all don't realize that when David walked up, David was standing just as tall. David was looking at him eye to eye because he's at a staircase.
Right.
Smaller victories that built him to the eye level of Goliath. He probably was, if I would in my spiritual imagination, probably looking down on Goliath.
Yeah.
What you're afraid of, you're probably looking down on.
Yeah.
It's actually more afraid of you. Because, can I give you another example why I can say that? It's real simple.
Okay.
Because we said it all the time growing up. Don't talk about it, be about it. And Goliath sitting here, I'm going to make your body be for the buzzards and the birds. And David like, it is what it is, bro. Because you'll know that you're bigger than something when it like tries to scare you. Because if Goliath was about that life, he would have killed him when he walked up. And so many times we're so afraid of the word of it. Like, I'm gonna feed your corpse to the no, you're not, dude. Because at the end of the day, don't talk about it. Pull your little sword out. And we're afraid of the threat. We're afraid of, and David was just like, nah, I'm good. Like, I got you. You're dead.
Yeah,
So use your staircase. Staircase. If you don't have a staircase, it will be bigger than you.
Yeah. So count your victories.
Count your victory and stand on those.
Stand them up. That's good. Wow, that's awesome. I almost wish that we had done this Facebook Live, because if you guys had questions or anything like that, then I would love for you to be able to chime in. But it is never too late. So when this video goes up for post, if you guys have questions, or if there's something you want to say, or if you've got a question directly for him, of course, he's on Facebook as well. But drop your comments below, add your questions so that we can definitely respond and get those back out to you. Thank you so very much.
Thank you for
babe.
having me. Thank y'all for listening. I was fearful about this. I didn't want the ratings to go down, so hopefully y'all like what was going forward.
Y'all
right?
The ratings
if not, just
actually, you're making history. You're the first man on 2 Minute Beauty.
I'm a history maker. No, I'm kidding. I'm just joking. Thank y'all. Thank y'all for listening. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so excited. All right, y'all. So that's all I got. Y'all let me know what you guys think. Of course, you can message Pastor Perkins on Facebook. His name is just Ryan Perkins. He's a regular old guy.
Yep.
He's awesome. Of course, drop your comments below or send me a message. And so we'll see you guys the next time. Love y'all. Bye.
Bye-bye.
And last but not least, ladies, y'all see what I got on, right? Unicorn. If y'all want a shirt, hit me up. They're only $20, and I will be happy to send it to you. Like what, extra $2 or $3 for shipping. I'm so excited about it. Yeah, my t-shirt lady, she hooked me up for sure. So I also want to give a shout out to Miss Felicia because she said it right. Mike Epps, it's on next Friday. So I love you ladies. Just wanted to hit you up. All right, I'll see y'all the next time.